British India before 1947, the jewel in the British imperial crown for nearly 100 years of colonial rule, known as the British Raj. Now, it stretched from the borders of Iran and Afghanistan all the way to what was then known as Burma and as far north as China and Nepal. Now, at the turn of the 20th century, there'd been calls for self-rule. Mahatma Gandhi, Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Jawaharlal Nehru all advocated and fought for an independent India. Discussions began soon after the Second World War ended in 1944. But regional, ethnic and religious issues soon came to the forefront. In predominantly Hindu India, there was a sizable Muslim community that numbered in the millions. The British announced that India would be divided based on religious majority areas, as well as considering the opinion of states that were ruled by Indian Maharajas. Well, here's India again, and there are the princely states ruled by the Maharajas. Now, they could decide whether to be part of India or the Muslim majority country soon to be known as Pakistan. The problem was that Muslim majority areas lay to the east and the west. Louis Mountbatten, the last viceroy and representative of the British government, was the man given the task of overseeing the partition.
Great responsibilities lie ahead of you and your leaders. May the blessing of the Almighty sustain you in all your future tasks.
A decision that would change the course of history and create the modern-day states of India and Pakistan. A line in the sand was drawn and the borders were set to the east and the west. But in the worry and panic that followed, many Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims who thought of themselves as minority faiths in certain areas decided to move. It's estimated that over 1 million people died in the migration and as many as 14 million moved across the new international borders. But shortly after independence in 1948, India and Pakistan went to war and fought again in the late 60s over the northern disputed state of Kashmir. Its fate was unclear at the time of partition in 1947. The state was ruled by Maharaja Hari Singh, who wanted to remain independent. Decades later, while both countries still claim the territory as their own, this heavily militarized area has been divided by this. It's called the line of control. Now, Muslims in the Indian-administered side have been protesting and fighting against the army, demanding self-determination. Many have been killed and injured in the subsequent 7 decades, and India often accuses Pakistan of supporting armed groups that cross the border, an accusation that Pakistan has always denied. But 1948 marked a pivotal year for both of these young nations. In January, Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, and 8 months later, in September, Pakistan's independence leader Muhammad Ali Jinnah died of tuberculosis. Their faces remain prominent on the currencies of their countries. In the past 70 years, India has had 15 prime ministers. Here they are. Its first prime minister was also its independence leader, Jawaharlal Nehru, who won 3 general elections and served 16 years until his death in 1964. Now, Pakistan's road to democracy has been a bumpy one. Soon after independence, leader Muhammad Ali Jinnah died. The nation was without a leader of his stature. Here are Pakistan's leaders of the past 70 years, and few of them were elected in a free and fair vote. A combination of elected politicians, martial law, then military coup leaders who all appointed themselves presidents have peppered Pakistan's history. Leaders like General Zia in the 1970s and General Musharraf in the 1990s. The various military coups left civilian governments weak and ever mindful of a powerful military ready to take over if they stepped out of line. 1971 was also a crucial year for this region.
This one's going!
A disputed general election and conflict in East Pakistan led to the independent state of Bangladesh being formed. But for Pakistan and India, military strength has always been essential. Both countries have a sizable nuclear arsenal, conducting tests throughout the 1970s and 1990s.